All right, so I guess a couple of stories. Let me put these on the turntable while I do that so you can at least see what I'm talking about instead of just hearing me blabbing. That way you can, be well advised to turn it off when you've seen enough. Or maybe mute it, listen to some music instead. But at any rate, where I'm going with this is so I was going to get Marvel's The Leader. There was a comic book shop slash collectible shop. I saw posted that they had it. It's quite a drive, but I don't care. I want it. And even though it's been pre-ordered, it's been pushed back. So yeah, you know how it's been with the Rona. But at any rate, so while I'm there, I look up on the counter, and lo and behold, bonus goods or bonus content, as the case were. And yeah, they had these. Now, huge disclaimer here. I paid way too much for these. I'm not going to go into the exact price, but suffice it to say it was way too much. And I know it. So here's my thought process on that. So I've got these pre-ordered. Got a whole case of them pre-ordered. So I would conceivably get these and relatively soon. But yeah. Or, if you find them retail, you'll get them at, base price considering, right? So, yeah. I don't have the best luck retail finding things. That's why I do go to my collectible shops, my comic shops, and score things. And today was one of those examples of why. They had it. Yeah, maybe I paid a little bit more for it. Actually, a lot more for it, but I have it. And if I happen to run into it at, your Targets, your Walmarts, I'll probably buy it there too because they're that nice. And, some of my pre-orders have been pushed back, if not canceled in the past. So I would have looked back on this as I paid some scalper huge amounts of money, maybe even more than I paid now, to score these later. I don't do that with every figure. Don't get me wrong. But there's certain ones that are worth it. So, story number 2. I moved around a lot when I was a kid. And so when you move around a lot, it takes you a while to make friends, etc. So one of the things that kept me going, so to speak, was my G.I. Joes. I had, I don't know, like 3, 4, 5 at a time. Never many. We did not have a lot of money. But I had 3, 4, 5 G.I. Joes, and I would play with them constantly, because when you're stuck in your room, you got nothing to do, nothing on the tube, or somebody else is watching it. It was just the way it was. You had to find some things to do. So I have a great imagination. And G.I. Joe's is why. Played with them using every conceivable sport, every conceivable concept, rescue mission, etc. I'm probably not alone, but I blab on too much. This is Hasbro's new 6-inch collection of G.I. Joes. These, to me, are the winners of the collection. Having seen them in person, these were the two that I couldn't live without. Call it nostalgia, call it anything you want. I call it good taste. I'll probably end up getting the rest of them, but the rest of them sat there today as I picked these up, unapologetically separating them from the rest of the batch. And I'll tell you why. So, yes, the nostalgia factor is there. There's no doubt about it. But these are the two best looking ones. Just my opinion. And we can go over why. Let me give you a close-up of Mr. Destro here. So they got that nice head sculpt there. So for any of you that are either comic book aware or cartoon aware, which is mainly how I became aware of them, getting some comics later, not many. Very good head sculpt, looking all around. Definitely it's metal. It's not trying to, just person's face or what have you. You can see it's like, supposedly sculpted on or what have you. The rivets on the bottom there. Necklace moves. It's not, soft or pliable, I should say. It's molded, but it kind of moves nicely and it doesn't get hung up too much. It's not often you're going to see Destro flying anyway, but if you do, yeah, you'll see that for an effect. So, articulation. So, I really can't say enough about him, in fact. they've done something that they haven't even done with Legends, and I'm wondering kind of why. Whether they want to separate these for a particular reason, or maybe that's what we can expect from Legends moving forward at some point. But one glaring thing stood out at me in particular, and I guess it's either or figure, so I'll just demonstrate it at Destro since he's standing there. So you see how the legs, they don't look like anything special, but see how they come down like that? So they separate and go back in. So I've only seen this on, I think, a couple of import products, and then I've seen it on like a Marvel Select or two as well. But this feels more sturdy, less prone to getting jacked up, and it kind of does it on its own too, because when you see you lift the leg like that, it kind of adjusts on its own. It kind of makes it wonky here, but it makes for great flexibility to solve some of the gapping / flexibility issues. So there is some gapping there, and it's horrible if you do that, but that's really not a pose or a picture you're going to take often. My guess is you're going to go ahead and push them back up to that standing position, if you will. So that was one of the observations I made. The other observation that I made that was almost evident right off the bat is they have the same type of articulation that Legends do, but it seems less forced, especially in the arms on both figures. They're stable, but it doesn't take a great deal of effort, and maybe that's just my figures. The right leg on Snake Eyes was pretty tight, but by and large, the figures come very playable right out of the box. So I would definitely check these out. I don't know if you need the entire line. I don't know if this was your gig, or whether you're a completist or not, but let me just go over some of the other base articulation. The one thing that I do see it's missing is tilt on both figures, but both of them have pretty good up. This one doesn't have down, but that one has pretty good down. Got all the articulation that you'd expect in the arms, shoulders, hands, wrists. Great crunch. Back and forth. It does rock back and forth from the frame a little bit there as well. So, no, they did really, really well. They're coming out of the gates hard on these. The accessories. So the accessories, there's quite a few of them, especially on Snake Eyes, as you would expect. I think this is going to be their flagship character, and I'll get into it in a second just so you can see it. You're going to see lots of reviews on it, but I'll just cover a couple things that I noticed that I thought were pretty tight. The accessories, maybe you could consider childish or what have you. I guess I couldn't care less. They're just kind of cool, and they match the figures. One complaint I do have on this guy is this knife does not seem to fit all the way into this sheath. I don't know if I'm doing something wrong. I'll try again later, but it felt like I was going to snap it off. And I did mention that this knee was very tight, the second joint down here. That took a little bit of prying to get off, but finally when it did, thank God it didn't snap. So let's cover their flagship character, Snake Eyes. And the reason I say flagship is because they did spend quite a bit of time and energy on getting this guy, I think, right. I don't have the other version, but as I understand it, there's very few complaints other than the fact that maybe it had some coloration. Now, this might be a reason. So yes, this might be more classic. It might look good up close, but at a distance, he gets rather kind of blobby, and you don't see a whole lot of, because, not every area on your shelf is going to be perfectly lit. So maybe this is a terrible example. In fact, it is. But as he gets further away or the light gets worse, he basically just becomes a featureless black figure. And so I think maybe the exclusive, or whatever the hell it was, the really nice one with the really great box and the accessories, maybe that was done the way it was for a reason, and that wasn't an experiment. It wasn't a fail. It was it was an on purpose to have a more noticeable figure on the shelf, perhaps. Because I noticed it had some different coloring, I guess, on the visor and a different paint application here and there. But yeah, I guess I can't talk about what I don't have. But this has got the same type of legs, the same great articulation, same smoothness, especially up top. The way that some of the accessories fit together like this, the sheath fits into the backpack, which I like a lot. And this, by the way, I have to say, let me go ahead and detach this, is the nicest sword I think I've seen of any action figure so far. Not especially sculpted, but so this is like, it feels like leather. It feels like it should, maybe. Yeah, it's got the peg there, and maybe you could have gone with a rope or a harness or something like that, but I got no issue with that. This feels really, really nice. The sword itself is just a really cool design. I'm not sure how, comic book accurate it is or whatever, but, let me try. There we go. They did a really nice job on that. Let me focus in on the blade especially. You can see that sort of hook blade going on there. So I was really, really impressed with that. Like I said, best sword of any action figure I've seen so far, I think. And I'd stand by that comment. Yeah. As far as the rest of his accessories, no, they're fine. There's nothing special there. I actually haven't played with this gun and silencer yet, only because the gun has got one of those weird holes in it as well. Could do without those, but if I'm getting so close to take pictures in that regard, I'm not trying to disguise the fact that they're action figures. I know a lot of people go through great lengths to take their pictures and make them look sort of as real or as live action as possible. I guess maybe I'm not there yet, maybe never will be. Only because I'm not... All right, I'm not going to go through a psychological exam on me anymore, or anybody that creates those pictures, because I certainly appreciate them. I just, I guess I don't understand it because I don't personally relate, but hell, how many things can we say about that, to each other on any number of fronts. So anyway, this has probably gone on too long. These are awesome. Check them out.